Please welcome Andrew Busch.
Oh my gosh, was that choir awesome? How about another round of applause for those guys? They were fantastic. And I got to tell you, there's nothing like a spiritual to get you going in the morning, especially because we're going to talk politics and money. And I don't want you to get too worried about this, too freaked out, because I approach this as a journalist, as a researcher, and as an author. I objectively look at what the candidates are talking about, and I'm probably one of the only people that have actually read their policies. I want everybody to close their eyes, take a deep inhale through their nose, and exhale through their mouth. Think to yourself, I'm in an economic safe space. All right, now, there really is only kind of one problem in this world, believe it or not, and it's slow growth. Now, there's many causes to that problem, and we're going to walk our way through each one of these. You can be an optimist, and the way that you are is by recognizing the problems that are out there and realizing that there are solutions to those problems. When you go through this process, you generate hope, right? And it's not kind of the hope that you're thinking of. It's the hope with the acronym, helping other people every day. But the thing that encourages me every day is that we live in this awesome country. And this picture really is emblematic of that, right? Very shortly, we will have 5 former presidents living in this country, advising the people that run this country. There is no other country on the planet that has that. And they're from different parties, right? If there were different parties and there were 5 former people in Russia, they probably wouldn't be alive. They'd be in boxes someplace, right? But that's not this country, and that's what's so exciting. So, look, we've been through worse times, right? And anybody who's gone back to Adams and Jefferson and looked at the language of what those guys said about each other, holy smokes. It makes us look, really kind of low-key by comparison. So I remain an optimist, and I think there's good reason for it, and I hope you do too. Why is this stuff happening now? That's the thing that you probably haven't got much context on, right? It's cheap cloud computing and massive amounts of data storage. That's it. That's the game changer. Yes, it's the iPhone, but this is what's changed recently. And if you think the world is spinning faster, it is, right? Pretty soon we're going to have infinite amounts of data with infinite processing speed at infinite amounts of power at really almost zero cost. That's the biggest change. That's the disruption, right? And if you don't change, right, if you don't embrace this, if you don't take a look at like what you guys do in your individual bank and say, okay, we do A, B, and C really good, then we tap into the fintech pool and try to augment that and really drive that, that's the program, really, truly. If you don't do that, then you're going to be like the steel mills in the 1970s when the mini mills came along, right, and started really low end, and then they worked their way up. Or Kodak, or Borders, or BlackBerry, or Zynga. I mean, you can't do this halfway. You really got to go for it. You really have to dive into it. This is not something that it's not a nice to have, it's a need to have. You got to do this, and that's what's so exciting to be here. These all kind of run together, but just let me give you an example of one kind of interesting company in this space for AI and big data and so on. Like, just for a moment, think to yourself, like, how much time do I spend writing up compliance reports? Or how much time do my guys spend writing up, corporate earnings reports or mutual fund stuff? Any of this stuff, right? These repetitive tasks. So hold that thought for a moment. Let me tell you about this small little company out of Chicago called Narrative Science. I'm sure you haven't heard of them, but you've probably read what they've done. Anybody who's read a mutual fund report or maybe even Fortune magazine on their corporate earnings reports have read their product. They take big data and they translate it into text. That's pretty cool. And here's a few of their products that they have. Asset management, wealth management, anti-money laundering stuff, right? Which was my personal hated favorite when I worked at a bank. I hated doing ALM stuff. But this is what they do, right? And it's not just only in this space. It's not just only in fintech, The legal profession is having their models blown up as well because of AI, right? Because of gathering all of this stuff, you can search the legal database. You don't need a first-year law student to do an internship at a small firm anymore to do this for you. You can log in and do it yourself. And that's really cool stuff. And again, as we're looking at these things in fintech, you go back to the alligator. It's dropping that cost down. And yes, I know some people feel threatened by that, but really, what does it do? It takes your people away from those repetitive jobs and puts them into more profit-earning roles. Things that are much more important for your firm and for your firm's survival. And that's pretty cool stuff.